It is a cold it is a cold fall morning in New York City. It's raining outside. I'm 12 years old. I'm sitting on the toilet. I hear my mother crying from her bedroom. She's crying because it's raining on her father's grave. He was recently buried, and this is the first time it's rained since we left him in the cemetery. She thinks of him wet and cold and alone. She experiences fear and powerlessness, and her fear is familiar to me. My nightmares had begun 4 years prior, when I was 8. I am running. My pursuer is wearing a clown costume and has no difficulty catching up to me. I'm powerless to stop him. I hear his footsteps closing in. When he catches up to me, whatever I do to make him stop, a gun that doesn't fire or shoots water or plastic pellets, punches that move like I'm underwater, he just laughs. Now, after my grandfather's death and seeing my mother's response, I can name the fear, the pursuer in my nightmares, that clown. It is death. 4 years later, I'm in the high school cafeteria. I take my tray and look at the options for where to sit. Each day I'm challenged by the doubt of where I belong, whether a group will accept me. Most days I will end up in the empty auditorium in the dark, often crying at how ugly and out of place I feel and how painful it is to be seen by others. Class periods are so much easier than the lunch period, when my schedule tells me where to go and is the proof that where I am, I belong. Identity and purpose are clear in the classroom and completely unclear in the lunchroom cafeteria. 2 years later, the summer before college, it's Oskaloosa, Iowa. I'm taking the summer before college to work on a farm. I'm at the kitchen table with John Van Wyck Sr. and his wife, the family I'm staying with. The couple keeps the butter on the table at room temperature. They go through whole sticks of butter so quickly they don't even need to worry about refrigeration. When they apply butter to their toast, they do so by peeling lengthwise curls with a butter knife along the top of the bar. In this act, they evince an unprecedented courage and an absence of fear of death. They explain their sense of peace and anticipation of the afterlife as a result of their Christianity. With my grandfather's death and the fear I saw in my mother, I had begun to understand that my fear of the clown of death came from an absence of an identified life purpose, and was made clear to me in the moments progressively more common as I grew older when I had choice, like in the lunchroom cafeteria. If life had something I knew I was supposed to do, then I could do that thing, and death would be okay. The agony of free will would be resolved with a life's purpose. But in those moments of choice, I realized I didn't have a guiding principle. My pursuer, I came to believe, was meaninglessness. While physical death may be the origin of my fear, it is not having meaning to make death okay that made the end so dreadful. Christianity would give me that meaning and that purpose. I became a born-again Christian. In college, Christianity had begun to feel, rather than an embrace of meaning, a constant manipulation of my reason in order to believe. I longed for the objective truth, the one that didn't require mental gymnastics to daily persuade myself that it was the true path. I studied philosophy. I was on a path of rationality and introspection that began with Plato and progressed through history, and was headed for an understanding of the meaning of life and how best to live it. But the journey I discovered dead-ended with Descartes. After him, philosophy soured as it entered the 20th century, and deciding it couldn't know anything about the world, settled in to understand itself. The New York Times was the next candidate for my life purpose. It seemed to have all the authority of God that I liked about Christianity, and the objective truth as well as practical commandments about how to live the good life that I liked about philosophy. But having structure and an objective framework wasn't the same as having a life purpose. It could make the moment-to-moment decisions clear, but not leave me at the end of the day feeling that I had accomplished some purpose. I longed to lose myself completely in a purpose. I'm in a hotel room in Queens. I'm 23 years old. My first day in the Army. Tomorrow I leave for basic training. The recruiters drove me here from the Manhattan office where we first met. All I have with me is what they allowed on the packing list: a small backpack with one pair of underwear, socks, a t-shirt, and my toiletries. I lie on a twin bed in a hotel room I'm sharing with Dale, another recruit. I turn to Dale. Sharing a hotel room with someone I've never met is so much easier when I think that we share the common purpose of preparing for basic training. Small talk we both know is irrelevant when we have something so big in common on which to focus. He's lying on the bed next to me. I asked him if I can turn off the lights. I know he'll say yes. The recruiters told us we have to be upstairs for breakfast at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. 2 weeks later, we're standing outside the chow hall in formation for the group ahead of us to clear. It's a cold and rainy January evening in Georgia. We are at the reception battalion. I've been here for 2 weeks with hundreds of other recruits waiting for basic training to start. And I am coughing. The drill sergeant calls me out of formation, roster number 207. He tells me I'm called up. Tells me I start basic training tomorrow. For 2 days now, I have been coughing all night, sweating through my sheets, waking up shivering. I've been weak, and I'm not ready for basic training. I want to be back home. It's not fair that my body would steal away from me all the planning I've made for the past 6 months to guarantee success. I despair that I'm sick the night before such an important day. But I have no choice. Yes, there was a choice to join, but I gave up choice out hereafter. But I am not in control. The Army doesn't stop for my cold. I'm going to be a soldier, a life finally imbued with purpose that's ascended from above, that isn't up to me to create or manage. I return to formation. I look up at the glass wall that separates where we stand from the chow hall, see the water flowing from the panes and rivulets. I see the moon through the clouds, the rain on the grass, and I begin to cry. I cry with a relief, because after years of trying to make meaning, the Army has finally come through. It says purpose that you had to contrive for yourself. Without a world imbued with purpose, you no longer have to contrive. Don't struggle. Turn off your striving to make meaning. You are entering into a life of purpose, of order and discipline that doesn't shape itself around your schedule, but that will shape you around it. In the Army, you will be subsumed by a life purpose, able to return to the time when there wasn't the agony of free will. You are part of something bigger than you now.